everybody. Thank you so much for joining us for our third annual IQmetrics industry event. For those of you joining for the first time or less familiar with IQmetrics, we are a telecom experience platform built specifically for telecom retailers. We're so happy to be a trusted and partner of authorized retailers and carriers for over 20 years. So 3 things we're going to cover today. First, we want to cover industry trends and insights. Secondly, we want to highlight product updates and a brand new product that we're really excited to share with you. And third, we want to talk about IQmetrics' vision for the future. Before we begin, we would like to acknowledge that each of us is joining from a location that is on the traditional, ancestral, and unceded territory of Indigenous people. Our physical presence on this land is due to historical and present violence that has been committed upon those who were here before many of our ancestors. Before we move forward, I invite you to take a moment to mentally honor and respect these ancestral grounds and the Indigenous people who have stewarded this land throughout past generations, those who do so now, and those who will continue to do so for generations to come. And I would personally like to acknowledge that I am joining from the colonized land traditionally belonging to the Catawba people. For those of you that don't know me, I am Stacy Hamer. I lead operations for IQmetrics, and I have been here for 22 amazing years. We'll also have an amazing lineup of other IQmetrics folks joining us today, including new faces to our IQmetrics leadership team, covering just a ton of geography. We have Jason, who leads our revenue and client experience team. He is joining us from Kentucky. Trish leads our product team, and she is joining us from Winnipeg, Manitoba. Justin leads our partner management team, is joining us from Salt Lake City, Utah. We've got Devin, who leads our workforce management solution Shift Lab, joining us from Carmel, Indiana. And we're excited to introduce you to Waleed Ayoub, who is in his first year leading our technology strategy, and he is joining us from Toronto, Ontario. And I am here joining you from sunny and lovely Charlotte, North Carolina. Before we jump into it, I did want to encourage you to stick around through the end because we have a massive announcement that we know you're going to be really excited about. And it's something that people from every part of the industry have been repeatedly asking us about. So we have some incredible news that you're not going to want to miss. So don't go anywhere. This year, we are talking about the future of telecom retail and how it's all about interconnected commerce. Because the truth of our industry is that everything is really interconnected. If you're on this call today, you can likely relate to this, whether you're a carrier, an MVNO, an authorized retailer, a national retail brand, a device manufacturer, or a solution provider, or any of the other vendors or partners, we are all so deeply interlinked. All of our business successes, our operations, our back-end systems, and so much more all rely on each other. At IQmetrics, we have this privileged position in the central point of that telecom retail ecosystem built over decades of trusted partnerships. And that allows us to have an overview of all of the players. And we're really dedicated to using our position and our insight to keep our clients ahead of a relentlessly changing industry. With that in mind, we want to zoom into some of the latest trends and challenges affecting you in the telecom sector specifically. And for this insight, I'm going to hand it over to Jason Raymer, who's going to talk you through some of the key things happening right now.
Thanks, Stacy. So as we get in today in industry trends and insights, we want to go through and capture top 5 insights that we've derived over this year and what we view to come. As we do that, we're going to do a top 5 countdown, and stay tuned for the end. As you're watching through them, we're going to ask for your feedback. So we'll put a little survey out at the end and kind of acknowledge where the group it comes from, all segments across from this. So starting off at number 5, it's the labor shortages. When we think about the labor shortages within telecom sector and just retail in general, studies show 63% of retailers operating with a deficit of frontline employees today. And of those employees, 50% are giving feedback to say, hey, the staffing levels are worse or much worse since the pandemic. And then again, 43% say this has all happened and the demands of my job have increased as we go through that. Now, the impact of this is a couple of things. One of which is we're finding workers in stores either looking or thinking about searching for new jobs already. And so the impact of turnover and being able to maintain those employees is more complex. And as retailers, we're responding in a way to say, hey, we're going to invest in technology to improve this. And whether that just be from a cultural experience and or just managing my employees. Nonetheless, labor shortages impacting everyone across all segments right now. Coming in at number 4 is AI and its impacts. When we think about AI and its impacts, 34% of telecom industry professionals said, hey, their company has been using AI in some way for more than 6 months. We've also found that 31% are say, listen, I'm in this research or assessment phase. So we don't know how we're going to use AI yet, but certainly we know that we have to. And then 5% respondents said, hey, we just don't have a plan yet as we go through this, more of a wait and see approach as we think about it. Now, according to NVIDIA, who is kind of the leader in chipsets for AI and really setting the market trends, 73% of companies implementing AI have seen an increase in annual revenue, while 80% say, hey, I've reduced my cost in some form factor. And when we think about our own telecom retail survey, 63% of respondents said, hey, listen, we know that this is going to be used. And most specifically, we're thinking about the customer experience and how we can personalize this. And so the implementation and use of AI is still unknown, but notably, majority is thinking or implementing today already. Coming in at number 3, we're talking about the impact of government regulation on telecom. Notably, the US government regulatory requirements are driving explosion in prepaid. Much of this is derived from the acquisition of Verizon of TracFone back to 2020, and now starting to get to market with increased competition per the requirements from that transaction. In addition to this, ACP, while driving broadband fixed wireless, it's also still driving prepaid ecosystem as well, much of the just subsidy that's involved with that. When we think about the other impact in the North America, specifically to the US, is the 5G C-band not being able to be released in time, specifically impacting Verizon along with a few others that needed to deploy that last year. This causing just a delay and really more of a consumer perception of being behind maybe the likes of a T-Mobile and others that weren't reliant on C-band. Additionally, in the Canadian market, we see that the regulation is trying to slow down some of the mergers and acquisitions, and we experienced that with Rogers and Shaw this year. And then as a part of that, it was, hey, how do we continue to kind of create the fourth carrier in the Canadian market and make sure that we drive competition? And we really haven't seen that come about fully yet. I think the actions from Freedom to be able to come that fourth carrier obviously are in flight, and we're watching that here at IQ Metrics continually. Coming in at number 2 is the impact in the drop in demand for the life cycle of devices and just customers holding onto them longer. When we think about global smartphone shipments, we've seen a decline of 6% year over year to 1.15 billion devices. Now, this has caused the refurbished market continue to drive forward. Much of this is being derived from 2 form factors, one of which is the cost of a handset has increased so much that the thought of buying used devices is going to take on more consumers than maybe we've seen in years past. In addition to this, we've seen just over half of new devices sales were premium smartphones in 2022. So the fact is that the brand new devices that may have the best features are still driving consumers' actions at point of sale. And then lastly, at number 1 is the MVNOs from the wireline cable co company gobbling up market share. 41% year-over-year growth in cable co's wireless subscribers Q2 of 22, and 27% of net new postpaid ads come from cable co's in the US. Now, Charter Spectrum has been kind of the clear leader when we see of the MVNOs in 22 into 2023, adding 6.6 million wireless subscribers compared to a Comcast at 5.9. In addition to this, seeing a 55% year-over-year growth in wireless subs from Q2 22 to Q2 23. And then I think the notable here is only seeing a 5% decline in their core business and cable TV subscribers. So the whole pivot in terms of driving more sales with wireless while protecting the core business, Charter is outpacing the peer group as we set right now. Now, with that said, we want to be able to put out a survey here and get some feedback from everyone. So we'll throw that up on screen and see what the results are here. All right. So as everything comes in here, we're starting to see, I think, a clear split here between what we deemed as number 1 and 2 on impact. One and 3 in terms of the impact to longer upgrade cycles, along with the MVNO impacts, as well as AI. So I think a pretty even split here from what we see in responses around that. So we appreciate that feedback as we go through this. All of this can be found from a resources standpoint on our website, and we'll continue to drive through here. Okay, next we want to go into some key elements and kind of highlight the trends in telecom retail. This is a biannual report that we put together where we go and seek feedback from all segments within the industry and basically have answers across the same subset of questions and derive all of that data and provide that back to you as clients, prospects, and anyone else that's in telecom. So we're going to just highlight what you would expect from our trends in telecom report and be able to give high level of just what to expect and what you can derive from strategy. As you can see, with respect to our survey this year, we've been able to get across the whole gamut of respondents. So we have authorized retailers with less than 50 doors, all the way to tier 1, tier 2 carriers, MVNOs, and OEM retailers across the telecom market. Now, when you think about this, we're going to see elements like, hey, who was impacted by device sales this year? And what do you think is going to happen next year? You can see here that well over 50% respondents said, hey, we think we're going to have a better year in the upcoming year versus 2023 when we think about device sales. We're also going to find that the greatest challenges that we're all still thinking about is the economy. The thought process, are we just in a slowdown, a soft landing, a recession? All are impacting our strategies, our spend planning, and really how we're going to manage our businesses. You're also going to find that we're going to see that same device handset and slowdown coming in at a close number 2 there in terms of impact. We're also going to see great things like eSIM and how are you leveraging eSIM today, or are you leveraging it all? It's been this great technology that either we just saw it as a hardware change and there's been no action, all the way to 31% saying, hey, I have a business strategy around this and I can monetize it in a unique way. We're also going to see and continue to see that omni-channel is a priority, and with spend continuing to be focused on meeting my customer where they are at the right time with the right device. And you're going to see kind of the gamut of how that spend goes into the technology and what do I need to do to leverage my tech stack to meet the needs for my customers and business. Then, of course, activation, something near and dear to our heart here. And the impact that we've seen is just not a lot of change decade over decade in terms of we're seeing that hour time length and the activations. And so the impact of that to consumers, the ability to upsell, and then just the total value of a transaction continuing to be at odds with the experience that we can deliver for our consumers. And then lastly, just great information on terms of, hey, who's going to use AI? What's it going to look like and how do I want to leverage it? And just as importantly, what does distribution look like in telecom in the future? And how does that line up with my strategy and what I'm going to do on the go forward? So with that said, when you get a chance, if you can go to iqmetrics.com, go to our resources page, you'll be able to download this. You'll get the complete report along with any other white papers and resources that we have there. With that said, I'm going to pass it back to Stacy.
Thanks, Jason. So you've heard it today, you've potentially heard it recently, this term interconnected commerce being used in conjunction with IQmetrics, or perhaps it's the first time you've ever heard of it. So I want to give you a little bit of context to this new software category and help you understand what it means for you in your business. This past year at IQmetrics, we have taken great leaps to redefine who we are and what we do as a company, and we're extremely excited and passionate about the outcome. We all know that whether you're an authorized retailer, a carrier, an OEM, or another telecom retail business, you want to provide a better experience for your customers, one that's unified, simplified, and optimized. You want to control the experience that your consumers have with your brand so that your customers aren't impacted by the channel that they're interacting with. And you want to make buying and activating a device quick and really easy, because the unfortunate truth is that while today's communication technology often feels effortless and seamless, the same cannot be said when it comes to the experience of buying and activating a device. Customers can literally sign up for Netflix, change their insurance, order groceries, pay bills, even buy a car online with just a few clicks but they can't buy a smartphone or activate a device with the carrier of their choice. With all of these industry complexities, it's no wonder the systems are so complicated that they have become cumbersome and disjointed, with many technology providers offering really half-baked solutions to different pain points. To gain control of this chaos and customer experience, a number of major brands have tried to create in-house solutions. With every pain point they face, every industry change comes a one-to-one integration to solve that problem. It's really an enterprise telecom phenomenon that works like a gravitational pull, an instinct to solve these problems yourself because you know your business best. This is pulling companies towards perfectly rational decisions of building out their own solutions and a one-to-one integration for every single pain point they face. And it ultimately ends up working against them. The result of that is a costly, complicated spaghetti bowl of tech stack and a mess of systems. And with each new challenge that comes in this industry comes another IT project, more costly changes that need to be made. And with every new player, every new integration comes this increasingly heavy system to support. So instead of getting simpler, the spaghetti bowl is simply getting more complex. We understand that telecom retail is very complicated. There are ever-changing and ever-increasing customer expectations, competitive pressures, economic turmoil, and the need to connect legacy systems. At IQmetrics, our position in the telecom industry is at the intersection of carriers, retailers, OEMs, vendors, and more. Our deep-rooted experience across the past 2 decades plus in this industry, alongside thousands of clients and partners, has given us an immense connections and experience and perspective. That's what enables us to keep you ahead of this relentlessly changing industry. And right now, there's this significant gap between the current state of the customer experience and the future state of the experience that you want, that carriers want, and retailers want, and customers all want. So how do you close that gap? What's missing? IQmetrics Interconnected Commerce. And what that is a complete set of software technologies that are modular, flexible, and have telecom-specific capabilities. It connects all of the different pain points so that brands can create a truly seamless experience for their customers way easier than they ever have in the past. Interconnected commerce is an end-to-end system that serves every segment of telecom retail sector because we really believe that's the only way to create those truly seamless experiences, no longer having to take on each pain point by yourself and creating an integration one by one. A much better approach is a one-to-one or one-to-many approach, meaning a single technology platform that integrates all of those other players with each other effortlessly. And that's how brands can ultimately unlock the customer journey that they want across any step in that journey. And it's easier and it's faster. Interconnected commerce is the antidote to that gravitational pull of in-house development and one-to-one integrations. It helps enterprise companies get off the ground and start to win new customers. It lifts executives from being stuck in the current disjointed customer experience to creating the experience they want to provide. It turns a really heavy tech stack of legacy systems into a lightweight modular approach. It untangles those spaghetti bowls of technology into a streamlined suite of solutions. It breaks down extreme industry complexities into manageable, solvable factors. It prevents the need for sales reps to perform that swivel chair transaction and activations. It moves from high cost, high effort implementations to turnkey plug and play solutions. And it transforms the broken customer transaction into a seamless and uplifting experience. We at IQmetrics carry the weight of telecom so that you and your employees can have an uplifting experience, ultimately creating one for your customers. So this is our visual representation of interconnected commerce, in which you can see that our product suites and SaaS platform are supported by our systems and services, as well as our ecosystem of integrated partners, which is really this invisible behind-the-scenes solution that powers your ability to create frictionless customer experiences at the front end of your retail operations, either in the digital, physical, or the hybrid channels. Zooming in further into our product suites, we can see that they're defined in the areas of transact, unify, activate, operate, and fulfill, and they're all supported by Connect, which includes our system integrations, our data integrations, and our partner ecosystem. It's really important to note here that as the category name Interconnected Commerce suggests, these are not actually all separate product suites, but instead they're all deeply interconnected with each other, all taking and talking to each other, feeding each other data, and creating a harmonious end-to-end solution. We also have to zoom in further to take a look at the partner ecosystem that integrates into IQmetric solutions. As you can see, our partner ecosystem, it's very extensive. It covers a wide range of tools, apps, solutions, all of which work seamlessly with IQmetrics to create that unique retail journey based on your own specific needs. And even though we have so many of the imaginable bases covered, we really want to invite you to introduce us to any partners that you're working with today that aren't already in our ecosystem that you would love to see become an integrated partner with IQmetrics. In terms of our own product suites and system integrations, we are constantly innovating both on our existing software and bringing new solutions forward, like updates to our point of sale solutions in our Transact suite, or retail management enhancements in our Operate suite, or Carrier Connect as a new innovation in our Activate suite, all of which we'll talk about shortly. So we're going to dive into each of these product sets and update you on our enhancements, our innovation, and any new partner integrations into each product area.
All right, thank you, Stacy. And with that, we're going to jump into our Transact suite. So Transact is a lot more than just mere sales transactions and a point of sale system. It's really about revolutionizing that in-store experience for both sales reps and for customers. So of course, it does include point of sale and payment processing, but it also includes those deep integrations that Stacy was talking about through things like bill pay, endless aisle, and dropship, and our newest offerings around payment servicing. We've really been hard at work taking our RQ Mobile to the next level. Mobile is no longer a nice to have, a value add within the store. It really has to be the core of how you function in a modern retail environment. Whether that's in store on that tablet, or as we've seen with several of our partners this year, going to fairs, pop-ups, really being able to unplug and get outside so that you can meet your customers where they're at, see those new opportunities. And if we have had a couple of things that have been holding us back over the years that have made that difficult, why truly mobile payments, as well as things like cash in and cash out to allow you to really be able to run the whole experience from that front of house space without needing that back end computer. And that's really made a difference for our clients. What makes our suite truly unique is all of those integrations with all the other product suites that we're going to cover today. So whether it's the Activate suite, the Fulfill, Operate, Unify, or Connect, it's all those integrations that work seamlessly to create that smooth transaction for the customer. And one of the things that we're seeing today with the competitive environment is you can't afford to let a customer walk out without attaching anything that you can to that sale, whether that's accessories or, as I'll talk about in a minute, with warranty plans. But really, you have to be able to take all those opportunities. And so we'll see and talk about today where things like our VIS and VMI solutions help you have the right product in store when you need it, but also looking at things like dropship that mean you don't have to use up pig space for that product. You can manage to have the customer walk out the door knowing they're going to get that pink sparkly case that might be the one their kid really wants without using up your own kiosk space. It really means if you're at that fair and doing the pop-up event, you don't have to worry about having all the product on hand. So if this is a product that you've looked at recently, but found it a little bit challenging to find the right items you're looking for, have a look again. We've invested in our search capability to make this a better experience. I also want to call out our settlement services and bill pay offerings. We're seeing this come up as a hot topic within the industry, And there are still several carriers across North America where this is a full swivel chair experience. And when you swivel, you risk fraud, you risk rep errors, and you just slow down that transaction. So with our full integrated bill pay solution, you don't have to worry about that swivel chair. So if this has been a solution that's flying under the radar for you, it might be a time to come to us and take a closer look. And I'm super excited to announce our monthly recurring charge offering. This is an entirely new offering for us, and we're bringing it to market this fall with Samsung Care Plus. This is that challenging situation that you have right now where a customer comes in, they've bought a very expensive phone, they really want to protect it, but to be able to lay the money out at the time of transaction for 2 years of protection, it's a barrier. And so looking at that barrier and understanding that, we've recognized we can, with our infrastructure, with our payment plumbing, we can solve that problem for OEMs, for brands, and for really all aspects of anyone's business. And so if this situation is familiar to you, where you have services that you want to sell, but having to set up that back-end infrastructure around billing and maintaining customer credit card information, risking those PCI compliance challenges are weighing you down, I think that this is a solution that really could solve that for you. So reach out. And with that, I want to pass it back to Jason.
Thanks, Trish. I'm going to have the ability to go through the Activate product suite with everyone today. For us, when we think about activations, many of you, most clients have used our carrier integration in some form factor for a very long time. And while that serves a very clear purpose inside of the retail stores, we're doubling down on activations and we're really thinking about it more differently. And for us, we're thinking about multi-carrier activations, single carrier journeys, as well as what does the UI and UX of that experience look like? And really, it's a missing piece for us when we think about our product suite and what it means for the go forward. So when we think about activations, the problems that we all have today are very common. As a retailer, we have this very heavy experience in terms of not being able to control it, having to swivel chair in certain instances, and it's just very challenging to make sure it's a very easy experience between the rep and the consumer and making the most of that experience. And then as a carrier, it's very challenging to take what works in my carrier-owned store and then scale that into other distribution channels, whether that be in indirect, national retail, or even in versions of e-commerce functions. And so for us, this is why we're so excited about Carrier Connect and what we can bring to the market in terms of that. When you think about Carrier Connect, we have the goal to say we want 10-minute average activation times. We want to be able to remove the errors and inconsistencies that are derived from swivel chair experiences. And we want to give more space for the customer. So when we think about making the most of that transaction and that interaction for both the upsell opportunities and just the experience with my brand, we want to be able to deliver on that with you. Now, when we think about Carrier Connect, this is not just an in-store experience that we're focused on. As an example, we have our web-based portal presented here today, and this is just a mock-up that you can see with a Carrier example. However, this can be deployed in many different facets. So when we think about what we solve inside of the retail store, it as well can scale to a B2B. We're seeing a ton of door-to-door activations taking place. Much of what we saw from the MVNO space and some of the winning they're doing, that's a part of the strategy is driving towards door-to-door sales, offsite events, and then taking that same thing to e-commerce, but making sure you control the experience for the activation the way that the carrier and the operator see fit. Now, in our conversations over the past year, Carrier Connect has been very obvious for national retail. However, we're seeing the conversations with carriers for single carriers become very obvious as well. What we're finding is that many of our operators and carriers that are trying to go to market have multiple billing systems, and that in itself is driving them to have swivel chair or different processes inside of their stores. And what we can do with Carrier Connect is take all the spaghetti bowl of what that interaction of the tech stack feedback plus the process, and we start to solve for that more uniquely. Now, when we think about this, we want to be able to take the activation experience and deploy that in many different ways, whether it be for consumer or for the business. Two different billing systems, typically two different journeys and experiences, but let's consolidate them down to a unified execution. And so that same store that's selling to consumers and SMB has the same training patterns and the same ability to sell all the way through. In addition to that, we're going to be able to enable bundling more cohesively. And when we think about the MVNO space and being able to drive the core business of cable or internet and get the benefits of what we have in wireless, how do we combine those and again execute in a more synchronous way? And then more importantly, or just as importantly, we want to make it easier. And so we want to be able to scale and put this out in a productized manner. We've seen this happen in many different ways historically in terms of national retail, maybe having a home built system, but that is not our goal here, is to have bespoke systems put out into the wild. More importantly, we want you to be able to have a solution that you can put in many different forms of sales distribution and manage only one system for that UI UX activation. Now, mentioning kind of national retail, and when we think about this, this is the reason that we want to tackle activations as an organization. We have just national retailers that at scale can do this today. And we've all been able to walk into some of them that are activating multi-carriers all the way through. However, they have their own challenges already as well. When we think about the deep investment of capital plus development that goes into maintaining an activation system, it's very challenging. In addition to that, there's continual investment that happens over and over again. And not to mention, most of these become programs with all of the carriers that you work with because of the evolution and changes to their businesses, promotions, activation flows, all coming together. And for us, that's what we want to combat in the marketplace. We want the likes of carriers trying to get to national retail and enable that in a more fast way. There, you're not dependent on the capital cost of being able to have development just to onboard into one of these national retail systems and having to wait on funding and development for projects that can take 18 to 24 months to realize. And so how can we get to market faster in the right retail chains as fast as we can together? Now, when we think about Carrier Connect and a unified commerce, what we do know is that the activation in itself is something that we want to solve for, but we're thinking bigger about this. What we know is 72% of retailers believe that the online experience and consumer experience is starting online and then carrying into stores somehow, some way. Now, with that said, we're trying to invest in the right places and think about how this can be more dynamic and introducing pause resume functionality where maybe I'm on your e-commerce site, I'm doing shopping, I'm building a cart, and then I literally walk into a store and resume that experience all the way through. And then very dynamic piece in terms of omni-channel and what that means. In addition to that, we're seeing the ability to be able to take activation technologies and leverage them more dynamically inside of retail stores. So no longer do you have subscribers that maybe are an upgrade where you're not increasing subscription revenue in any form factor, and you're paying reps to do this work and commissions associated with it and realizing no new revenue. Why not introduce a kiosk that can do complete end-to-end activations and have that experience bundled that's very seamless? Maybe it's what I expected online that I get in store and I walk out maybe with never even talking to a rep if I so choose. And if I want to, we know they're there to support that experience and have that hybrid experience that we talk about in interconnected commerce. And then lastly, what we truly think about is making sure you're delivering the right thing to the right customer at the right time. And that's really driving the activation experience in a more dynamic way. When you make sure that you're getting the right promotion to the customer that's going to make sense for them and making sure you close that sale, all while selling the exact plan in which you're going to have the highest ARPU on and make the greatest commissions and or monthly revenue off of, it's just perfect. And so when we control the UI UX of an activation experience, we can make sure it all aligns with the strategy of the business and we're presenting the right plans and promotions at the right time that benefits everyone across the gamut. So we appreciate that. I'm going to send it back to Trish and she's going to go through our Fulfill product suite.
Thanks, Jason. Let's move into that Fulfill product set. So we were talking earlier about the challenges of the lower device demand from longer upgrade cycles, and that puts a lot of pressure on you to make sure that you're very intentional with how you manage your inventory and your supply chain. And that's where advanced inventory management solutions come into play. You need to be able to take full control over your inventory to ensure that you have that right product at the right place at the right time, but more importantly, that you've got visibility across your network and across your organization at every level. We're extremely proud of our advanced inventory management, and it's available either as part of our complete interconnected commerce solution, but also as a modular integration into your existing tech. And it's centrally managed across platforms for a unified inventory operation. Because we know that cross-channel visibility is essential for your business, and IQmetrics's RMS provides real-time stock updates across all of those channels and lets you give your customers the guarantee that they can rely on you to have the products they need. Now, I'm really excited to announce a feature with our inventory management solution that on the surface seems a little small, but actually I think it's quite game-changing for our large organizations. And that's our new centralized configuration for inventory count sheets. It's a powerful feature designed to empower inventory managers with unprecedented control. And it gives you that compliance assurance and operational simplicity that means that you know that you can count on giving the right time to the efforts across the organization to manage this very important part of your business. Now, that centralization gives you streamlined configuration, but it doesn't take away the ability to customize the right inventory count policies that you've already dialed in across your organization. But it does give you uniformity and compliance and centralized control that is consistent across your stores. We all know you've got some districts, some district managers who are really dialed into the operational side of things, and others less so. Now, they may have other skill sets, but why are you asking that of your on-the-ground staff? So you can say goodbye to the manual coordination and oversight that requires them to create all of those count sheets right at that individual store level. And it gives you the precision and accuracy with the automated processes. So you can count on knowing that the inventory you think that you have on site is the inventory that's in fact there. Now, one of the key pieces for us here was scalability, because we know that while 10 years ago, the average size of operations out there might have been 10, 20, 100 stores, it's now hundreds and in some cases thousands. And it's simply not possible to scale your operation if the tooling doesn't scale with you. And that's a really important tenet for IQmetrics in anything we're building these days. And finally, you know that you're allowing your folks to actually focus on the things they should be, on coaching their staff, on worrying about what's happening in store, instead of doing things like creating count sheets. Another key area that we know drives your success is our VIS and dropship services. We know that you want your stores and retail operations to close every single sale, whether that product is in store or not. And this is where our extensive partner ecosystem comes into play, because we are seamlessly integrated with a host of vendors and distributors who offer a range of inventory management services. And they can help solve those really crunchy supply chain challenges and allow you to have good competition with mass market retailers while simultaneously dealing with those uncertain customer demands. That green sparkly case is still wanted by some, but not by many. So if you're looking for a way to stand out and gain customer loyalty in this retail space that's ever increasingly competitive, your ability to deliver any product your customer could want is really the thing that will set you apart from others. And so again, as I mentioned earlier, this is where our dropship service really comes into play, to allow your customer to have exactly what they want, even when it isn't in store, and direct vendor to customer shipping ensures shoppers get the products they want with no delays. So I encourage you to take a look at our new search capacity within that. It's really easy to find the products that your customers are looking for that match the device that they've just purchased. So speaking of ship to home, we're seeing a really big increase in this trend across North America. And what we're often seeing is that carriers at the moment are leaning into this, but they're doing it via third-party operators, which is clunkier and frankly an unnecessary process. The IQ Metrics solutions have all the plumbing that you need so that a rep can sell a phone and a rate plan and ship that right to the customer's home the next day without having to involve a third-party operator. And just like dropship, with this option, it gives you wider product availability and gives customers that great experience to get the perfect device, the perfect accessory, and really helps boost customer retention and loyalty. But we know that ship to home is not easy to operationalize for various reasons, including the challenges of tax jurisdictions. And this is an offering that really straddles the lines between our fulfill, operate, and unify product sets. Well, frankly, as so many of our offerings do, because everything in this industry is interconnected. And so we're thrilled to announce that we're working with our partner Avalara on a sales tax integration for ship to home that enables tax compliance and really helps solve that major pain point. The US has over 13,000 tax jurisdictions, which change regularly. And this means that in many cases, retailers and frontline sales reps struggle to charge the right tax rate on these ship to home transactions, or frankly, even keep up to date with their store's tax settings. So it really shouldn't be hard to do that, but we find that they often default back to charging the tax rate for the store address instead of the customer address. And that puts you at risk with audits, which can occur regularly, as we all know. And so we want to make sure that we're set up to really help support this pain point. And so we have partnered with Avalara to solve this, so that at the point of sale, the zip code of the store or the shipping address of the customer and all of the cart information are sent to the tax partner, calculates the tax rate at the point of sale, and leaves the responsibility of calculating the correct tax rate to the partner and not the retailer. The partner also offers the ability to report on and remit taxes, which can be labor intensive. And so this integration makes it much easier to manage things like exemption certificates and to prepare and file those tax returns, really bringing that easy uplifting experience. And with that, let me pass it to Justin.
Let's dive into our Operate product suite. These products exist to help you increase efficiency across the organization. It includes important back office areas like CRM, employee management, reconciliation, finance, and so much more. It's never been more important to operate your business effectively, and we've covered a lot of this thus far in the presentation, but wireless is facing uncertainty in so many areas due to hiring issues, economic pressures, and longer upgrade cycles. What makes the Operate Suite so special is that it's customizable for your business. Everyone operates their business differently, and this module accommodates that. For more information on how we're helping you to operate your store workforce effectively, I'm going to turn it over to Devin from Shift Lab.
Justin, glad to be here. I just want to get my slides going. There we go. All right, so I just wanted to start with kind of a little bit of background to me. A lot of you on this call probably know who we are by now, but before starting Shift Lab, I spent about 10 years inside of wireless retail. I was a part-time sales rep for quite some time, analytics leader, and then VP of sales operations. And I ultimately just noticed that, especially in performance-based environments, the workforce management tools that were out there and the point of sale systems that were trying to accomplish it just weren't working for us. We're just going to have a couple slides today to go over essentially how Shift Lab, we're scheduling 30,000 wireless retail associates. But what we're doing is we're increasing profit per hour on average at 10% for the customers that join us, which is a pretty monumental amount compared to traditional workforce management. We're also decreasing wasted downtime in your stores by 6% while boosting the guest and the employee morale. So to kind of go over the challenges that you likely face and that I faced previously and that most of our customers coming on board do, is that workforce management is one of the largest costs in this low margin business. And you have to base the majority of the strategy and the proactiveness around it through trust and communication down to hundreds of managers. And those managers are left using tools like you see over here on the right, which just look like a Google Calendar. So not only can they not tell whether they're building a good schedule or not, but also a district manager can't look at 10 and identify if we're really prepared for the weeks ahead. The other thing was that, there's a constant reactivity to spreadsheets. Now, this is daily in some organizations, bi-weekly in some organizations, and also quarterly. But essentially, a lot of times the executives create the strategy. We want no overtime, only top performers get major shifts. Managers need to work 2 weekends a month. We have to go push adoption down to the majority of our organization for them to manually build schedules. We're constantly nudging them to do adjustments to increase the quality of their schedules. And that leads to just a reactive response where either once someone gets a spreadsheet at the end of payroll, which is too late, it's either a really positive response and no one expected it, or it's a negative response and we have to restart this process all over. The other thing is that as we built Time Clock over the last 12 months, I originally thought that it was a commodity, but it gives us access to real-time data. And we noticed that there's just a ton of bottlenecks as it relates to payroll. 5 to 10% of people auto clock out. 15 to 20% of people clock in before their shift is supposed to start when they're not even an opener. 5 to 10% of people have inaccurate punches. So when you look at yesterday's shifts or even over the last week, 10 to 20% of those are wrong and need edited. So what that leads to is district managers always adjusting tons of punches on the busiest day of the week, a Saturday before payrolls due, inaccurate trends, and then an exhausted HR team who is just herding cats. And then the last thing is that, when you deal with a highly generic HRS system or workforce management tool, you get a 30-page pamphlet of what your ROI should look like based upon the efficiencies they saw in a manufacturing industry. You're supposed to pay up front, and you're supposed to wait 9 months until the implementation's done to actually reap the benefits, which wind up being, short-sighted from what you originally expected. So we wanted to solve these things, and showing you the results of that is like, this is one example. I have several through these next 5 minutes, but this is a 50-store trial out of a 200-store chain. Basically, within a day or two of the managers even getting access to our tool to be able to see and easily comprehend strategy, the results moved by $5 to $10 per profit per labor hour in these trial locations. So for only a 200-store retailer, this is $560,000 of operating income if we could annualize and sustain that lift. That happened immediately, not after months. And the way that we do this is through profit-driven schedule automation. If you think about it, whether you're a district manager or a CEO, what we're doing is building every single schedule with exactly what you have in mind. When are our busiest days and hours? Where are our top performers at? Are we working around our employees' preferences? Are we accounting for budgets and overscheduling when we are understaffed and underscheduling when we're overstaffed? Are we placing meal breaks based upon the rules and regulations? Opening, closing duties, key holders, new hires, floating employees, and more. And essentially, some organizations are scheduling 6,000 employees with one click from corporate, and then the manager gets to go in and just make tweaks instead of building 25 to 50 shifts through copy and paste over and over and over every week. We took the reactivity in spreadsheets to prescriptive real-time alerts, and we give them to the people that actually can make change before they become a statistic. So are your stores all open right now? Are minimum staffing levels being met? Who has taken their break? Who hasn't taken their break? Who's over their hours and are they productive? All happens within real time to the people that actually can take action. And then, from the reactivity and the payroll bottlenecks, we just started to create basically bots that, validate if a payroll punch looks wrong or if someone auto clocked out or if they no-showed. And we decentralized the time card, push those questions. Instead of in GroupMe, we push them to the end user and the employee to where they're constantly answering these questions and fueling the time card to where it's always ready to be processed and there's no outside communication. 100% of this is getting done. And then the last thing that you'll see, hopefully, as we move forward, is we give you your ROI immediately within days. So we're super lightweight. We give you a scheduling strategy review over your last 90 days or more. How much time is being theft, through early punch preventions, people coming in shifts when they're not supposed to, what overtime is profitable versus not, are people following through with their breaks, industry comparisons, budget suggestions. And what this results in is, one, an immediate flip of the switch ROI that pays for our product times 3 or 4 or 5, sometimes 10. And then the strategic upside, if you follow the suggestions and use the automation, which is way larger than that. So, you're covering all your bases just through flips of the switch, and then there's a huge upside. This year, we've developed time clocks, so early punch prevention, proper cost tracking, early break return prevention, PTO management, biometrics, a bunch of other stuff, and then store pulse, so real-time notifications, live dashboards of both labor and sales, giving you essentially everything that you need to see within seconds in a single tool on any device you're on. One component that we just released, I'm going to talk to you about the ROI for the customer that told us about this, but we started to streamline compliance. So rather than a signature form in your back office saying, I took my break today, and risking yourself with FSLA lawsuits, we started to just show people that we were measuring what matters and capturing forms and consents whenever you return from a break early, whenever you end a shift that needed a break. And essentially 100% of what you need covered for FSLA is documented. And we found through this that when you schedule a break, there's over a 200% more likelihood of people taking that break, which yields a much larger ROI organizationally, whether you're in California, Illinois, or not. So a couple slides telling you some ROI, and then we're almost wrapped up here. But this is connectivity source, nearing 400 stores, rapid development, measurable hard dollar ROI, which are not things you traditionally hear in workforce management. And our time card management and its streamlinedness is invaluable. They actually made a suggestion for us to do break compliance forms. They made $50,000 of operating income in the first month. So $600K in operating income through just a toggle that was free of charge for them, and a great idea. Then you have, Josh here, who's the COO of GP Mobile, thousands of employees. We increased their profit per hour by $7 in the first month. So if you sustain that, that's like $20 million through just smarter scheduling, less copy and pasting, and compliant schedules. And then, Victra, one of the largest Verizon retailers, same theme: increase profitability per employee, reduce downtime, optimize labor costs. So with that being said, I really want to thank, this isn't all of our IQ customers, but, we couldn't do this without you. Your feedback is invaluable. We care about your ROI, and I hope you guys see that through our service. And if you are interested in joining with us, the first steps are free. I mean, you could basically email Devin, me, at shiftlab.io. We flip on a few integrations without any IT personnel really needing to be involved. You review your ROI and walk away with a true analyst's viewpoint outside of your organization that deals with multiple retailers within a week. And we're ready to start your trial or fully launch within the same month that you engage us. So, we're really quick. They're, basically free labor analysis. We'd love to work with you and help you guys out with your strategy, and hopefully one day you'll become customers. So with that being said, I'm going to pass it right back to Justin.
Let's jump in and take a look at our Unify product set. Should come as no surprise that we take our role as unifiers in the wireless industry very seriously, which is why we prioritize building solutions which help you meet your customers where they are. Spent a lot of time talking about that this morning, and I'm going to go into it a little bit deeper here. Unify enables you to craft personalized journeys for your customers while also ensuring that those customers get the same great brand experience no matter where you're meeting them. And how do we deliver on this? Well, it's through interconnected commerce, of course. Are you sensing a trend? Building a novel omni-channel solution for your business has never been easier. You can easily pull together pieces from our Fulfill and Transact product sets, pair them with solutions from partners like Statflow, TrackPoint, and VoiceCom, and in no time, your interconnected commerce solution is given life. We take it a step further as well because we understand that brand consumers shop on multiple channels. Telecom brands must ensure consistent brand interactions no matter which channel in order to avoid poor customer experiences, reputational damage, and revenue loss. Our brand management solution enables you to align your products, names, prices, and promotions across every customer touchpoint, including corporate stores, the authorized retail channel, and e-commerce channels. This creates a much needed bridge between carriers and retailers to create a true win-win for everybody. And brand management can quickly and nimbly push unified pricing, current promotions, new products, and more across all of the retail channels. There's also a pull side where carriers get to see, for example, what's in stock across their authorized retail channel or any other information they may need to operate a successful business. The win-win that we see here is that carriers see and control only what they need to, while retailers still have control over operating their business the way that they'd like to, with peace of mind knowing that pricing and promotions are all up to date. With that, I'm going to turn it back over to Trish.
All right, well, let's jump into our final area, and that is our Connect suite. Connect is about creating that streamlined tech stack that we were talking about earlier. And it really allows us to meet you where you're at on your journey of digital transformation. Whether that's in connecting all of your systems to support one of those hybrid online in-store experiences that both Jason and Justin talked about, or whether that is maintaining a central source of truth while updating your in-store tech stack. Or perhaps it's about taking on the challenges and bridging those challenges of legacy systems. Connect really allows you to start to implement portions of our tailored suite for you and realize that return on investment while not necessarily having to replace wholesale your entire tech stack. We feed the right data to your other systems, to creating efficiency and seamless connections for all parts of your business. And that's what makes the Connect bucket so special. So whether you're a carrier, an MVNO, or an enterprise with significant back-end systems, you may have some very specific problems and complex interconnected systems of your own. But because of our Connect bucket, we can solve those problems with our product suite without you having to rip it all out and rip it all apart. And those are systems that you've created over many years. And so you can't simply expect to replace them wholesale. We use our system integrations to feed the data that you need back where it needs to be, so you can still be efficient in those head offices, but you aren't held back as you work to not only compete, but really you have to be able to lead in this increasingly competitive environment. It's been a really long time since we were limited to being just that point of sale system for the authorized retail channel. Today, our integrations are far-reaching, and we're deeply embedded with all of the top North American carriers. When you connect to IQmetric's ecosystem, that's what you're getting access to, is those leading telecom brands. And so why spend time and money building and maintaining your own integrations when ours already exist? Our commitment to interconnected commerce means system integrations are already there. We're already interconnected between all of our products, but also within the carriers, the OEMs, and vendors within our partner ecosystem. Now, for all of those of you who are wondering, interconnected commerce sounds great, but how long is it going to take? Is this a 3-year, a 5-year project? We had that question from a major Canadian carrier recently, and we can honestly answer no. It's already built out, already plugged in, and already creating seamless experiences. And if there are any new areas that aren't yet integrated from a specific client point of view, it's not like we have to build the wiring. We just have to plug something in for you and to flip the switch. And I can promise you this is not a theory, but an actual reality on the ground. And our level of experience is now at a place after decades within this industry where we can assess your retail technology needs and be your advisory partner and collaborator on what integrations you need to make your business operations seamless and to create that interconnectedness that results in that uplifting experience for you, but more importantly for your customers. So leave the interconnected commerce software to us and let you focus on your own priority projects and on creating a great customer experience. Now, if you've heard some interesting things today and are wondering, why didn't you know they were coming? I want to let you know how you can keep up with what we're working on. Watch out for our insider newsletter, where we will be sharing our roadmap at the beginning of each quarter. We'll also be starting to include more details on the roadmap elements. And I'll ask you to please take a minute to check it out every quarter and to respond to a quick survey. It's really important because it lets us keep our efforts aligned with the challenges that you're facing in this relentlessly changing industry. We've covered a lot today. If our vision of interconnected commerce is resonating with you and with the experience that you want to provide to your customers, but bridging that gap from where you are now seems really daunting or overly capital or resource intensive, I want to reassure you that we've got you. Because of our 2 decades of experience and deep-rooted knowledge and connections, we can confidently say that we are better than anyone else at supporting enterprise customers to achieve this vision through the system integrations and implementation process. We know that you have complicated businesses, and IQmetrix Professional Services is here to help connect all those pieces and help you transition from your old system to the new system, and help you launch any of those products that you deem will really help you start to succeed or continue to succeed. We want you to be successful in our ecosystem through all these different areas. And so we've taken our support to the next level by creating a crack professional services team that are experts at connecting all of these disparate elements together, just as we are interconnecting the disparate systems within this industry. So please check out our website or reach out to your client manager if you're looking for more information. And with that, I want to hand it to Waleed.
Thank you so much, Trish. As Stacy mentioned at the top of the event, I'm still in my first year here at IQ, and one of the things I learned really early on was how deeply embedded innovation is throughout the organization. And one of the other things I get to do as lead of product and technology is I get to sort of help shape the future of what that looks like. And so, what I'd like to do today is actually take you through some of the things I've learned, and really 3 things. One is our philosophy around innovation. What does it mean to us? And the second is really how we bring it to life. What are the things that we do to actually make innovation come to life, not just for us, but for you as well? And the last thing is a bit of a sneak peek into some of the things that we've been working on that you might like. So let me jump into it. So as I mentioned, innovation is at the core of everything that we do. And so what does that mean? What does that mean to us, and what does that mean to everybody else? So I think the first thing that this means is that we believe that innovation comes from the people at IQ within. They are the people that are connected to our customers, to our products, to the industry, to disruptive technologies. And so the second thing that we believe is that it's our role to actively create the conditions, the right conditions for people to continuously pursue innovation across domains, across the board, from product, tech, customer success, you name it. And so it sounds a little vague. So how do we do this? What are the things that we actually do to take this philosophy and make it real? And so what I'd like to show you is sort of the 3 kind of areas of focus where innovation plays a very core part across sort of different time horizons and with different outcomes. The first on the left is the continuous discovery piece. Trish actually mentioned this early on. We plan every 3 months. We fill our feature backlogs by conducting interviews with customers, users, and what we produce is a user-centered, user-driven roadmap. And spoiler alert, if you went to iqmetrix.com/product roadmap right now, you can actually see it live. So I won't spend too much time there because you've seen a lot of content about that so far. The second bucket that we really focus on is new product innovation. This is sort of where we leverage the teams that do robust research, keep track of a lot of market disruptions and trends. We conduct workshops both internally, externally, and this is where we come up with a lot of the brand new products and features, many of which you've already seen, but we're actively trying to fill that pipeline so that as we sort of work through this innovation, we can always develop more. And the last piece is really the part where we say, hey, let's take a lot of these disruptive technologies, let's turn inward, make them available to our teams and say, why don't you tell us what we don't know about? And so that's actually an area that I'm very excited about, and I'll share a bit about it in a second. So starting with that middle bucket, the new product innovation piece, what I'd like to sort of show you is that interconnected commerce is kind of at the center and the foundation of everything that we do, how we look at product innovation, discovery. And so we look at our strengths, weaknesses, we assess sort of where we can create new value. And so I'll show you and I'll give you some examples. As it happens, we're actually in the middle of prioritizing the list of things that we'd like to pursue over the next year. So these things we prioritize over the next month, and over the next year, you'll actually see some of these things come to life. So I'll kind of pick on a couple of these things here. If you look at the transact bucket, one of the things we've heard a lot about is, Jason mentioned that customers start a transaction in one place and may end it somewhere else. And so we're looking at ways to actually make that seamless, to actually connect the hybrid nature of that journey. Another area I'll dig into is on the fulfill bucket. So, a very, a common use case of ML, for example, is to develop much more granular, robust inventory forecasts. And so that's also an area that we're looking into as well. In operate, using ML, again, could be an area where we can automatically detect and score fraud. Using all the data that we have, we could build predictive capabilities that could say, hey, this transaction, could exhibit certain fraud. And so there's a few ideas here. And as I mentioned, we're in the final stages of triaging all of these, and we put a lot of rigorous research against them to just understand which ones will actually drive the most customer value. And those are the ones that we generally pick. And so jumping off to that last area of focus, the hackathon. So this is something I'm very proud of. And I'll tell you a little bit about how we organized it. So we kind of created a theme. And so as I mentioned earlier on, we pick out disruptive technologies, and we create the conditions for people to use those technologies to actually create novel things. And so the disruptive technology that we chose here, no surprise, generative AI, predominantly LLMs, in addition to the vast troves of data that interconnected commerce generates for us. And so the way that it worked was we said, hey, let's create product areas, new product innovation, product enhancements, and productivity as the three areas where we wanted teams to sort of focus their attention. Gave them 3 days to develop, 1 day to record a demo, and then we posted all those demos to a SharePoint site internally and had the whole company rate them. We ended up having 19 projects. Over 100 individuals participated. This happened last week, so it's actually also very, very fresh. And here are some examples of projects that that came out of those. I'll pick on a few here. That second one in the new product innovation bucket was using AI and generative AI to actually automatically configure and construct your product assortment. So descriptions, writing them from scratch, a lot of the things that can be laborious for a merchant to own, a lot of these things generative AI can actually take care of. Another idea in that bucket is actually using a lot of the customer data to predict when a customer is likely to, for example, upgrade their device. What is the likelihood that that device's trade-in value will decrease or increase over time? And can you start to match up customers to devices based on that? In the product improvement category, I've also mentioned the inventory forecasting piece, but also certain other really cool things like a co-pilot wherever you are in our queue. So instead of having to refer to help files or documentation, you could have an agent that you could say, hey, tell me what kind of tax integration reporting you have, and it'll sort of retrieve all the various ways you can report on that. In the productivity space, one of the things that we take seriously here at IQ is, our resilience, stability, and security of the platform. And so one of the things that was pretty novel was, tools that enable our incident support team to actually diagnose problems, using text to say, hey, this thing happened with this customer. Can you tell me what the most likely reason that happened was? And it would look back at all the various things that have happened in the past and create sort of natural language answers to that. So very exciting stuff. Obviously, would love to commit to have all of these things available to everybody now, but these are certain things that we're going to look towards over the next year to see how we can integrate Gen AI into our product stack. And so I wish I could tell you who won, but that actually happens tomorrow. So we actually have a judging event tomorrow where we crown the champion of the event. And though a team may win all the projects were amazing, and so I'm actually really excited to see how we can integrate all of them. And so, all this innovation, why do we do it? Obviously, I described our philosophy at the top of at the top here. And so, the primary reason, I suppose, that we do all this innovation is really to help us drive towards our mission, which is ultimately to transform the way the world buys, sells, and activates devices. And with that, I'll hand it over to Stacy.
Awesome. Thanks, Waleed. So here we are, the moment that everybody has been waiting for. And I want to know who's excited. I hope everyone is just bursting to hear what our announcement is. And given that a picture can say more than I ever could, we're going to go one step better, and we're going to play you a video to let you know what we're up to. So I don't know about you, but that video gives me goosebumps. For those of you who have never been to one of our previous events, I can tell you iQmetrics puts on a phenomenal event, and we can't wait to host you next year and create some amazing experiences. And for those of you who have been to our events, we miss you so much, and we can't wait to see you. And seeing everyone's name of everyone here today just makes it even more exciting to announce this today. So after the event, you will receive an email where you can fill out a form to subscribe to event updates, and we are down to the final details to announce dates and locations right away. So you've all been with us for quite a while. Let's wrap this up. I think we can summarize today in a few big takeaways. First is that everything is interconnected. We are all interconnected together, and let's really embrace that. This is a unique sector. It's showing cautious optimism, but a lot of resilience, even in the face of challenging economic times. The interconnected needs of the telecom ecosystem, they're always changing. This is constantly shifting in this market, and the consumer behaviors are evolving non-stop. The technologies that it solves for these challenges, it's constantly iterating, and we will, as your partner, keep you ahead of every step. And let's be honest, we can't wait to do this together in person next year and have so much fun. This industry is not just us, it is all of us together. We are here because of you. We are a collaborative, interconnected ecosystem, and together we genuinely believe there's nothing we can't achieve as an industry. We're always looking to create great experiences with you. So if you are interested in anything we've talked about today, products, services, partners, reach out to us, your client manager, or our sales team, get more information. We hope you enjoyed today's event. I say it all the time, but we are so genuinely humbled by the support that we receive from you. The industry has always been so great to us. So we thank you so much for the time you spent with us today. And thank you so, so much for coming. It's been an absolute pleasure.